Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:07. It's O'Connor and Company. It's our fourth hour here of our 4-hour extravaganza. If you missed anything that started at 5 a.m., well, the good news is you can either, stop being so lazy and wake up early with us, or you can continue being lazy and subscribe to our podcast so you can download it and you won't miss a darn thing. I'm kidding. You're not lazy. You just have to stay up late doing all the things that you do, staying up late. It's Larry O'Connor here with Julie Gunlock there. Good morning, Julie. Actually, you're here, too. You're here, but you're there. You're not here. I mean, you're here.
I'm literally close enough to...
Don't you touch me. You know the rules. Joining us right now is one of our favorite columnists, not just a political columnist. She writes, of course, about politics, yes, but also about our culture, about family, about the American lived experience from the middle of somewhere. Generally speaking, Western Pennsylvania as well as Ohio and Michigan. They used to call it the Rust Belt, Selena. Is that still an operative term, Selena Zito?
Yeah, I still call it the Rust Belt. It was called the Rust Belt because that's where people made things.
Yes.
And
things that would rust eventually. Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually it rust, and then they had to remake things.
Selena Zito, I know that you're so entrenched in the place where so many of these future potential leaders are spending their time, especially Western Pennsylvania and into Michigan and Wisconsin. I want to ask you about what you saw at the Butler rally, an emotional moment, I'm sure for you as well, to return because you were there the day as bullets started flying. And you were protected by a Secret Service agent, actually. Or was it a secret?
No,
it wasn't
Trump advance
it was an
person.
advance person from the Trump campaign. Talk to me about that event, but also how the mood is there in terms of what this event did to sort of energize what the Trump campaign is hoping would be energized, and that is the people who most need to come out and vote for him.
Well, and she's right. It was a Trump campaign advance person, Michelle Picard, and I had a very emotional reunited with him. It was really lovely. What a lovely young man.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said because Secret Service obviously we're doing something else.
He looked like a Secret Service. He had glasses on and he looked like one.
Yeah, but obviously the Secret Service was attending to the president at that moment, not protect the president
Zito.
and Selena Zito. That's their mission. Yes.
Look, I got there just as the sun was coming up. There are already a line of cars trying to get into the parking lot, which is not really a parking lot, but a farm field. And that was, at 6 in the morning. It was 2 miles long. Look, it was very joyful, very aspirational. People that were there were, a lot of them were there the first time. A lot of them came from around the area. Some of them have just come to Donald Trump. A lot of them inspired by what happened that day. And then there was sort of the pilgrimage, people coming from all over the country who knew that Saturday was going to be something unique and historic and ultimately special, which it was. And so it was a real conversion of all different kinds of people. And there were so many young people there. I'm not quite sure if people, know, it was probably very hard to notice if you're just watching it on television, but it was the thing that really, really struck me was the amount of young people that were in attendance. I had the opportunity to interview both President Trump and Elon Musk and J.D. Vance ahead of the rally. The president was in a little bit of a somber mood, but also in a very good mood. I asked him if he was emotional, and he said, "Yeah, I am. It's tough. It's tough, but I can't focus on it." And then he started talking about Corey. So anytime that we got close to the emotion of it, he sort of deflects that to bringing something better for the people that were the families that were impacted by the shooting, obviously Corey's family, but also the trauma of the people that had been there before. And I think I think the most important thing that happened that day, I'm not quite sure people picked up on it, but I think at some point, him saying, as I was saying, was much more significant and powerful. And this is probably going to make some people's eyes roll in the back of their head, than fight, fight, fight. Yeah. So why do I say that? Because when you pick up where you left off, you are telling people, I am not backing down. I have something to finish, and I'm going to finish it. And I think that is the ultimate lesson of what happened on Saturday. And Elon Musk, I think a lot of elites, in the very same way that they've never understood Trump's appeal to the working class, he also has that same kind of appeal, and it confuses them.
Right.
But, he makes things, right? And he goes to the Wild West. He goes to the New Frontier. That's very appealing to the working class.
Selena, I wanted to ask you about your interview with Musk. You and you wrote about it. You said in your article, you said Musk said he recognizes that the people here in Butler and in places all across the country, not located in the centers of power and wealth, are the ones most concerned about protecting and preserving both free speech and the Second Amendment. That really resonated with me because I think those are the people that are often ridiculed as hicks and flyover country and not really knowing. And you've really brought those stories to life and that position to life and really made people understand that there are people in this country who care about those things and they shouldn't be made fun of. These are real concerns of real people. Musk seems to get that. What other things did he say that in your interview with him that showed that he really understands the concerns of the average American?
Well, he understands that the people that are least concerned about the First Amendment, which is the freedom of speech, you think about that, and the Second Amendment, which is the ability to protect treasure, yourself, your family, your home, and your country. And he, with the least amount of power, care the most about that. Yes. And the elites who have all the power don't care because they know they are protected by the system. Because they game the system.
Selena, how is this resonating with the voters? The Harris campaign has a new ad out, or it may be a super PAC, I'm not sure, but it's an entity supporting Kamala Harris, showing images of Elon Musk as the richest man in the world. This is all about the rich getting richer, and it's coming on your backs. In a weird way, though, here you've got Donald Trump obviously representing wealth and opulence in the American real estate world, and then you've got Elon Musk, the richest man. But they seem to connect more with the blue collar guys than Kamala Harris does.
Yeah, absolutely, and it shows to me once again they don't get it, right? Like they literally don't get it. They did the same kind of ads against Trump in 2016, and people were like, "Well, you guys think we don't want to be rich too?" I mean, when I was a kid, when I was coming up in the 80s, every working class kid guy that I knew was reading Trump's book about how to be successful. Like they think that working class people don't want to aspire to success. People like that. And the other thing that Trump and Vance too and Musk do is they make people feel seen. They see them, and more importantly, they respect them.
Selena Zito, Washington Examiner. She is a force of nature, and she delivers such amazing reports from the middle of somewhere. One of the places that she tends to report from, where derisively elitists here in D.C. refer to that part of our country as the middle of nowhere, but not the way Selena Zito reports on it. Those people have a great voice with your byline, Selena, and we always appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
It's 8:15 WMAL. Let's focus quickly on the congressional race in the 6th Congressional District of Maryland. This is an open seat right now, and the Republican nominee is Neil Parrott. The Democrat nominee is April Delaney, John Delaney's wife, and I regret to inform the good people of the 6th Congressional District of Maryland that April Delaney is an entire bag of nutso. She is a wackadoodle. She is insane. She absolute and total temper tantrum meltdown last night at what should have been a very cordial debate between the two candidates.
And look, there are crazy people who are like kind of wacky and, sort of, it's funny watching them, but then there are the ones that are kind of angry and hostile and, I don't know. You might not want to stand near them when they have one of these
simmering powder kegs just waiting to you. Look at some of the images from this debate. She and Neil Parrott were seated next to each other on the dais giving their remarks here during this debate. And we're going to play a little bit for you, but we're going to also put this on our social media so you can see the image of her. She looks like she's got anger management issues here.
She has anger management issues.
Her behavior certainly expressed that as well. April Delaney, of course, a political novice. Neil Parrott, years in the state assembly, in State House of Delegates, I should say, in Maryland, and someone who has been focusing on the issues of that district for so long. April Delaney doesn't even live in the district, of course. And here she is in her final remarks.
So listen, I started this dialogue on how we are coming apart at the seams in terms of lack of vitriol. I mean, the amount of vitriol and inability to work together. I have always been a common sense, common ground person that looks at solutions.
Yeah, I'm here for solutions, and I just hate the fact that there's so much vitriol. And then it's Neil Parrott's turn to talk. And just listen to who brought the vitriol. This is nuts. This is, by the way, closing remarks where the candidate is supposed to sit silently while the other candidate delivers their closing remarks.
Right. It's interesting to hear my opponent sit here and say, I don't want to villainize people. What about the lies that you put out at me on your mailers? Unbelievable and disgusting.
Not lies. Not
it's
lies.
Disgusting.
They're not lies.
They're complete lies, and you know it.
I have them every single.
This is my turn. This is my turn. You have 2 minutes. The lies that my opponent, shame on her, villainizing, inflammatory. That's what this is. If you look at her mailers, you look at her ads, that's what you get. Look at my ads. You get practical, common sense solutions, how we can work together. You talk about issues. I think it's because you have no record. You have nothing to brag about, nothing to say that you want to, my 2 minutes, nothing to move forward with, because all you do is attack me and instead of just promoting your own records, you don't have one. I think it's time that we bring practical solutions to D.C. I think hypocrisy needs to go. I think we need to work on solving the inflation. We need to work on bringing good paying jobs to Western Maryland. That's manufacturing jobs. I believe we need to secure the border on day one. I believe we need to help our police. We need to make sure we don't have sanctuary cities. Look, this is a very important election. And here you have someone who lives in the district, cares about the district, invested in the district, someone who's not been invested in the district.
All right, you heard that exchange there, and it got rather ugly. And, of course, she had her little jeering section there trying to inject themselves.
He kept it civil. I mean,
yes, of course he did.
I mean, it was obviously a hot moment, but he kept it civil. He kept it together.
Well, because they've been throwing out these mailers about, MAGA fascists and
It's
all they've got, right?
Exactly.
By the way, she was the Undersecretary of Commerce. Her one job was to make sure that rural areas got broadband with like $42 billion of federal money. Not one person has been able to get that broadband.
Billions.
She's absolutely a failure at her job. The only thing she did well, apparently, is marry John Delaney so she could fund her campaign and try to take over the seat that he used to occupy. But then, listen, she got very agitated here by being finally called out on the lies. And during the final remarks here, it's hard, you won't hear it, of course, but she actually grabs his arm. She physically grabs him.
That's assault.
On stage, and he kept his cool. Parrott just sort of lifted his hands and backed away to try to defuse him.
And that will work for every single one of you in this room, every single one of the people in this district. Thank you again for this time. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your help. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
All right, let's thank our candidates.
And then
let's thank our candidates.
As he's trying to get off the stage, she's grabbing him.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, what is going on in Maryland?
And he is the one
6?
who diffused the situation.
That's right.
He put both of his arms up like, I don't want you to touch me or assault me. And then he backed up and he left.
April Delaney is nuts. She does not have the temperament to be a congresswoman. You can't touch people.
That's assault. That absolutely is assault, what she did. And she was sticking her finger in his face.
And if you can't take somebody saying, hey, you're lying about me in a campaign, and then without melting down.
I mean, campaigns,
of course.
People people are going to push back against naked lies against them. That is, and you're right. You should grow up.
We are now 4 weeks before Election Day for the Maryland 6th District. It is, by the way, last poll that I saw, it was 41-39 with Neil Parrott enjoying a 2-point lead.
Good.
20% undecided. Be smart, Maryland. It's 8:23.
Making sense of your world.
Thank you for your clear insight.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
8:37 now, and we're going to hand it off to Chris Plank coming up in 30 minutes. But Julie Gunlock and I have some unfinished business with you, so sit back and enjoy. Someone needs to explain this to me, this whole kerfuffle going on over FEMA and hurricane response as it relates to Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, let me lay out the facts for you, and then you can tell me exactly what's happening. Ron DeSantis has handled everything again,
Brilliantly.
masterfully
Yes.
in terms of ramping up preparedness and getting the infrastructure in place to handle things. They know a thing or two about hurricanes in Florida. In fact, he's done so well that he has been assisting the folks in Western Kentucky. Or, I keep saying Kentucky. I'm so sorry. Western North Carolina, in Virginia, in Georgia, to help them out because they've had resources. Now he's getting ready for Milton to bear down and sweep across that I-15 corridor, basically starting in Tampa and heading east to the Atlantic. And he's in the middle of all of that preparedness. Yet at the same time, he has given press conferences and explained that FEMA has been very responsive. They've been able to get the resources they need. He's been working with the federal government, as he always does. And he's been in contact with the President of the United States, as is the appropriate thing. So what's wrong?
Nothing's missing.
Well, apparently there is one thing missing. He wouldn't take Kamala Harris's phone call.
A little busy.
And now here she is acting like some sort of spurned girlfriend. It's like, I don't care that you made dinner and took the trash out. I will not be ignored, Ronald.
Oh, dear.
I have feelings, too.
Yeah, totally. A little Glenn Close action going on here.
And so, right, exactly.
She's going to boil a bunny any
DeSantis
second.
needs to check out the stove, man, right now, because Fluffy is getting a bit of a jacuzzi action. So NBC News is reporting that this is unverified. There's no verification of this. No independent.
Like it matters to them.
NBC News is reporting that Ron DeSantis didn't take the phone call. Ron DeSantis is saying, I don't know what the hell she's talking about.
I will not be ignored.
And, oh, by the way, even if she did call me, I'm talking to the president. She has literally nothing to do with this.
I will not be ignored.
So Kamala Harris, of course, who won't talk to reporters under any conditions, somehow found her way over to a reporter on the tarmac while she's campaigning and cosplaying as the president. And it just so happens this one reporter that she finally stumbles upon to answer a question to has a question about this.
How convenient.
What are the odds?
I don't know.
So here's the question.
President, Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Madam Vice President.
And I love how the reporter sets it up. The reporter says,
Yes.
how does that hurt the situation?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Thank you for that leading question.
How does it hurt your feelings
Yes.
that he's ignoring you in your time of need?
I will not be ignored.
You know what? You and your crazy eyes are freaking me out with that. You've done that before, haven't you?
No.
So, and let's just be clear here, because I want to reiterate, because there are people in need, and he's playing political games. I don't want to everything's fine in Florida. He's actually done a great job. And he said, whatever we do need, we're working.
He's helping other states.
He's praising FEMA. He's praising Biden. He's taken the calls from Biden. And by the way, he's denying that he got a call from Kamala Harris. Even if she did call, though, she's the vice president. She has literally no role in any of this. And yet she's using this moment. She's the one who's being selfish because she wants to be paid attention to. And
That's what I want to do.
I know.
I will not be ignored.
She will not be ignored. So this is all a fake thing. And by the way, and so he was asked about this. He appeared on Hannity.
And so for Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts.
All right. So do you want to hear my favorite part of this whole story?
Yes.
Because there's one person who can sort of solve this whole thing. You know, because it's sort of a he said, she said, right?
Sure.
Right?
Right.
Vice President is calling the governor because the vice president is hands-on and right in the middle of this, and she's handling this crisis because just look at her. She's pretending to be a president. And the governor says this is crazy. She has nothing to do with it. I don't deal with her. I deal with Joe Biden. So that leaves us with who can, like, sort of resolve this crisis. That would be Joe Biden. Right? Did Joe Biden deputize Kamala Harris in some way? And
is she the czar, the hurricane czar?
The hurricane czar, exactly.
Yeah.
She's in charge. Don't call me. I'm too busy. Talk to Kamala. Last night, 9:30 in the evening, Joe Biden tweets out a picture of himself at the head of the table with the FEMA director getting a briefing. This evening, the president had separate calls with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Tampa Mayor Jane Castor to get a first-hand report on recovery efforts for Hurricane Helene and to discuss preparations for Hurricane Milton. He asked the governor and the mayor to call him directly if there is anything that can be done to further support the response and recovery efforts.
In other words, yes, you will be ignored.
Yes, there's Kamala Harris, absolutely. In fact, Joe Biden put out a statement saying, Ron, please ignore Kamala Harris and talk directly to me.
Let's just go to the shorthand here.
Do you think that was sort of his way of saying?
Larry, the books that are going to be written in 10 years are going to be epic. I mean, the miniseries that come out, I mean, the backstabbing, the anger, the lingering anger.
I can't wait.
Yes, I can't.
How desperate are the Democrats and their puppets in the media? Well, they're going back to calling Trump Hitler again. I often say, what more can they say about Donald Trump at this point? And the answer is there is nothing more they can say. They've thrown everything they can, so all they're doing is throwing the same things at him again.
That's right.
Here's the headline from NBC News. Trump suggests immigrants have bad genes in latest disparagement of migrants. So it's interesting. You think, wow, did he really say that? That immigrants have bad genes? And of course, I'll answer it for you. Of course, no, he did not say that. In an interview yesterday on the radio, he said he was asked about the high crime rate right now that is linked to
the murderers being let in.
Yeah, and he said many of them murdered far more than one person, and they're now happily living in the United States. You know, now a murderer, I believe it's in their genes. So he wasn't talking about immigrants. He was talking about murderers. And by the way, there are actually studies about certain criminal behaviors that do get passed on genetically. Whether you agree with that or not, it has to do with criminals and murderers. It doesn't have to do with being an immigrant. So that's just a blatant, flat-out lie. But it doesn't matter. They're used to lying.
Doesn't matter.
And so rather than taking him up on that question, they decide to call him Hitler. Listen to this. This is Aisha Mills. She is a Democrat operative. She's there as a consultant and surrogate for the Kamala Harris campaign.
She's done this before, too.
She was on CNN. I want you to hear what she has to say, but then, even better, listen to David Urban, the conservative commentator.
Listen, this isn't the first time we've heard this kind of talk from Donald Trump, and it reeks of authoritarianism. And it also harkens back to a time of Hitler, who used the same exact language that Donald Trump is now quoting to talk about the people who he thinks are poisoning the blood of the nation. You know, all of this smells like an affinity towards eugenics, which really should give us all pause. Because when we remember the last person, the last awful authoritarian dictator who believed in eugenics, it was...
That would be the founder of Planned Parenthood, I think she's referring to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, who they make a hero out of.
She must be talking about.
Oh, no, I think she was talking about Hitler. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's an easy thing to mistake because
mix them up.
I'm actually using facts here and she's not. Well, she goes on, and finally it's David Urban's chance.
Swear?
David, I mean, is it rhetoric to say you believe in the racehorse theory about bloodlines?
Listen. Hey, Aaron, listen, I'm not going to sit here and put up with this. I am a very good guest normally. But to Aisha, for you to compare Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler on 10/7 is just shameful. Number one, what he was talking about are murderers, people who came into this country and murdered Americans, okay? So let's not try to string together a bunch of quotes that weren't put together. They're different points in time to try to make it look like something he didn't say. He was talking about 26,000 people, rapists and murderers in this country. And he said, in my opinion, and it's not just Donald Trump's opinion, there are scientific studies out there about nature or nurture, about murders, whether they have some sort of genetic predisposition to murder people. And he's talking about the people who murdered Americans, not eugenics, not some made-up BS, Aisha. So
good for him, and a shame.
We need more of that.
Yeah, we do need more of that. Well, we have it, and we're going to continue to get more of it because, again, they've already said everything they can possibly say about Donald Trump. Enough. It's not going to work. Half of the country is ignoring them and laughing at them, and it has no traction anymore. So, all right, Julie Gunlock, go do your Fatal Attraction Glenn Close thing at home where it's welcome.
I will.
You will not be ignored. Here comes Christopher Plant, Esquire. Chris?
That was that whole boiling rabbit thing kind of came to the surface very naturally.
Well, because Ron DeSantis is doing such a great job in Florida, but he's ignoring Kamala, and she will not be ignored.
She will not be ignored. Oh, I know. I was listening. to the Glenn Close, the whole Glenn Close thing. Also, did you guys catch? I didn't even get to it yesterday. Andrea Mitchell on Sunday on Face the Meat. She seemed to say that the problem that Kamala has is interracial marriage.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. She uses words, but she doesn't know what they mean. I'll try to straighten out her vocabulary for her this morning. And how about Election Day preppers?